All right, back again working on these braces. So, I think I mentioned kind of some of the layout the last time we were here talking about these. It's really pretty easy, and the proper word for these is inlet braces. I call them inlaid. And so the proper term, if you're looking for it, is inlet braces. So all I do when I'm laying these things out, I lay them where I want them on the legs and on the top, and then I just scribe everything. Scribe everything out. And we had a gift from a viewer all the way from England. Our friend Douglas Mungum sent us a left-handed marking knife. Now there's an astute gentleman right there. And that's actually turning out quite handy for this. So anyway, you can see this walnut is not, it's got a twist in it. This stuff was not stored properly. It was out in the sun for years. I got it from an uncle of mine. I'm actually going after more, but it's thin enough that once we get it down in here, when we screw this thing down, it'll take a lot of that out, and then we can sand out what we have left. So these are real easy. You get them traced out on both ends. I come in on my top, I measure out 1 inch, and then I just connect the dots. And you can do more than 1 inch. You can do whatever you want, really. I just use that measurement because I think it just looks proportional for what I'm doing. Now, of course, you try not to move stuff while you're doing this, and I always tend to move stuff. So anyway, say this was a little bit wider, I might go 1.5 inches. You know, I'd like to try to keep things proportional. And so that inch is about 1/4. There we go. An inch is about 1/4 of what the width of this brace. There we go. So like I said, it's real easy to lay out, real simple. I cut these with my circular saw. I know some people are probably going to be like, oh, what are you doing that for? But I'm so used to the circular saw, it's a lot easier for me. Plus it gets me a nice square straight line as long as I'm careful with it. So we're going to clamp this down. I'll move the camera for you once we get her clamped. I'll show you how we cut these. Really no big mystery here, folks. Just no mystery at all. Alright. I tell you what, black walnut is definitely something you guys want to wear your respirators for. It is nasty stuff. It can make you very sick. Same goes with like mahogany, stuff like that. Even ash and poplar rank up there pretty decently on the toxicity chart for wood. Say that 3 times fast. Now normally on these, I don't knife the lines. I probably should, but I'm going to be scribing this into the leg anyway. The bottom we're not touching here. This has been run through the joiner and all that, and it's been through the planer. The bottom we don't touch, just the top. And then once we get these cut, we'll scribe it onto the bench itself. So let's get cutting this thing. Now on this guy, my line is about here, but I cut it off way up here. That way, if I goof something up, I have a little bit of play there, and I'd like to sand this down to the table, or to the piece it's going to fit in to begin with, just so I can get a pretty much once you sand it down, it just becomes just about a perfect joint. See if I can get you close up. This camera, it seems when I zoom in, it doesn't always focus all that well. But we'll give her a shot. Come on, focus, damn you. There. So I just take my time with this one. We don't do it super fast. And I may have a little bit of work to do to make it beautiful, but that's okay. So right around in here, I bellied just a little bit. Be honest with you, once I get it in there, you'll probably never even notice that, but I'll trim it down anyway with a chisel. But to the naked eye, it doesn't look too bad. Now, gonna keep going. Well, we just finish her off with the handsaw. Okay, now we have these cut. I can go through and I can scribe my lines. We'll use the right terminology tonight. How about that? So I tell you what, this marking knife that he sent is awesome. It makes a big difference. And I tell you how I know it's going to make a big difference, because to be honest with you, I've always used a utility knife, stuff like that, if I've had to do this. But generally I just draw lines with the pencil. But I can already tell, I tested it out. I drew lines against this thing with the pencil, and then I held the piece in the same spot, didn't move it, and then scribed it out with this with the marking knife. And I got to be honest with you, I was kind of shocked how much closer the marking knife gets this to where I want to be. I mean, it's night and day, unreal. I was off at least a 1/16 of an inch. And that's, you may think a 1/16 is splitting hairs, but when you're trying to make an exact fit, 1/16 of an inch is a lot. Now, I don't know if any of you guys remember I'll remember one of my really early videos, the elm table that I did. But that elm table there, that thing, I had put a bow tie in it, but I made it curved, and that worked really well. It went together really nice. It fit really nice. And that I just did with a pencil. But I had, I know I'm trying to work and talk at the same time, think and talk. Never goes quite to plan. Alright guys, this is a short one as far as progress goes tonight, because this is another night where we just didn't get out here till really late because of family stuff going on, and they do have to come first. But anyway, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about something, just kind of a thought process. When you're up here shooting videos a lot, you're by yourself, you got the radio going, you're working on your projects and whatever it is you're into, you have a lot of time to think about things. And I was thinking about how valuable the relationship with your viewers are, if you guys are YouTubers or anything. And no, I'm not one of those channels who's going to give you a how to YouTube bit, because we're all learning. Nobody really truly knows. Some people just get really lucky, and other people, they don't. But I'm finding that as I go, I'm learning a lot from my viewers, from you guys. You guys are taking the time to comment. There's times where, I may seem annoyed a little bit about it. I'm usually not. It takes, usually the things that bother me are like the really, really rude people. But a lot of us who do these videos, we never sit there and we never mention the great comments we get, the hundreds and thousands of really good comments we get. And I don't think, especially here lately, you know what I mean, I've been running a lot of late nights, so you get a little tired, you get more frustrated a little easier. And so I kind of like to take this time to thank all of you who are imparting your wisdom to me, because I'm a half-assed decent woodworker, but I have a lot to learn. I have a long ways to go to really get to the level that I would like to be at. I would like to be at I want to be up here for woodworking, and I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. And I try to, the older I get, the higher the standard I try to hold myself to in a project, and that's why we're doing this really fancy, ornate planer stand for the barn. It's because I want to practice, because it's been so long since I've done any of this. I want to practice again before I start making stuff for the house and putting it in there, or before I start making some things to sell. So with that comes, as a YouTuber and as a guy putting videos out, you leave your ass out there a lot. So if you make a mistake and you make it on camera, and I don't edit mine out, never have, and most of you regulars know that. You make a mistake, you leave your ass hanging out there. And you guys have been phenomenal about politely and respectfully saying, hey, you know, why don't you try doing it this way? And some of you may think I don't hear those suggestions, but I truly do hear them. And a lot of times it may not come across, but a lot of those suggestions I do take and I do try them out. And in fact, I have a notebook that I keep where if I get a really good suggestion, I write it down. And for those of you guys who are watching who have your own channels, I know there's quite a few of you, you know, that interaction with the audience is so important, that you can have a relationship with people you've never met that way, who are comfortable enough with you to share with you what they know. Now, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to offer up advice without really knowing what the hell they're talking about, because that's just the nature of the internet and that's the nature of life. You know, it always looks easier from the outside looking in. But I have found in the 2 years doing these videos and putting them up there that I've maintained a pretty tight relationship with my regular viewers, to the point where I pretty much respond to every comment. It is getting harder to do it because there's so many of them now, but we still try to respond to everyone. If you guys are growing your channels, I tell you, take the time to do it. There is a wealth of knowledge out there in your audience that can really help you. They can just really help you get your projects done, and they can really help you kind of take it to the next level. I have a lot of viewers, a lot of you guys are older who watch this channel, who have been woodworking since before I was a thought. You know, there's some of you, one viewer, Elrod, always has good advice to offer. He's president and founder of the Norm Abrams fan club. I'm pretty sure he has a full life-size Norm Abrams cutout somewhere in his house, probably 5 or 6 of them. That's okay though, because Norm Abrams, you know, he was kind of the woodworking god for a lot of us growing up. I mean, I grew up with Norm Abrams. I watched him every weekend on PBS. Every weekend I watched him. Other kids are watching cartoons. I was watching Norm Abrams. And it's funny because I'm looking through these tools that I'm digging out of the pit of despair, and a lot of them are stuff that he used on his show years ago. You know, and tools, even since he was doing it, tools have come so far, and a lot of hobbyist woodworkers are getting such professional shops going that they're blowing even some of his tools out of the water. But anyway, getting back to it, Elrod has a lot of the same equipment, or he has had a lot of the same equipment years ago that I'm using now, and he's had some good advice. There's been a lot of you. That's just an example. So if you are my viewers and you're, you know, seeing something that I can do, can make things better, make it nicer, I'm all ears. More than willing to listen to that and take into account what I can. If here's some of my viewers that have your own channels, and I know there's quite a few of you out there. You guys have your channels, you're trying to grow, you're smaller, but you're coming up. Take the time to get to know that audience. I really highly recommend it, because you get to know your audience, they get to know you, you guys learn and you grow together, and it becomes a community, and that's really the important thing. You know, the money you're going to make from videos is all well and good, and it's nice. It's a slow process, but it's a fun process. Best thing I could offer is take the time to get to know the people that are watching. When they have a comment, respond to the comment. They're taking the time to leave a comment. You should take the time to respond. You know, and it does get difficult. The bigger you get, the more difficult it becomes. But so I guess that's my little advice for YouTubers and advice for viewers. You know, keep the dialogue open, keep the advice coming. It's helping me a lot, and it can help some of you guys too. So anyway, we're going to get back to this tomorrow night. Hopefully we can get out here a little bit earlier. We could start routering this stuff out, and maybe we can get these damn things in and fit, and then we can move on to the next phase of this build. I'm ready for the next phase of this build. I'm ready to get this one done and move on to the next thing. So anyway, have a good night, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.